Welcome. I hope I don't have an internet problem tonight, Hope Haven. This is Dr. Yvonne Pointer McCreary. And normally I sing welcome into this place, but today is just a little different. So welcome, 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 welcome. You are live in the Hope Haven. What is the Hope Haven? It is the dwelling place of possibilities. It's where we come Monday through Friday since October 1st. Can you believe it? 2016. So we want to just welcome everybody tonight. Let me know. We have been doing some different things today, and we hope and pray that the internet holds up. But you know, we subject to man right now, so it's up to us if we can keep going. Up to it if we can keep going. But anyway, welcome. This is Yvonne Pointer McCreary live in the Hope Haven, and we certainly appreciate you. Y'all know my song, Welcome into This Place. I appreciate everybody for coming. Going to ask that you go ahead and let people know that we are live. We thank God for the Voices of Black Mothers United. We thank God for the Woodson Center. We're so grateful for the first 24, where we get up, we wash our face, brush our teeth, and for the first 24 minutes of the day, we are live and we are in the presence of the Lord, and we're so grateful for that. So I don't see anybody yet, so I'm assuming that we are live. Like I said, I was having some problems out of my internet today. And we're going to just keep proceeding as if. Today has been challenging. I have someone transitioned, so we're praying for them. I'm not going to say the name yet until she makes it known. Then I had another friend who had another problem in another state. And so, hey, Bishop Tim James. And somebody said to me today, and I'm just going to throw this out there while we are waiting on people to come in. Hi, Renee. They said, could you pray for me and ask God, why does he hate me so much? That took me over the edge. Because all I could say immediately was, that's what I said. God does not hate you. But then, Renee, when I think about people who are going through so much, I can understand why they would feel like that. But I thought, wouldn't it be nice if we just could feel the loving arms of God around us versus all of the brouhaha and the things that's going on. I right away started thinking about Job, and I don't know. I just want to open that up. If somebody said that to you, how would you respond? And so while we're waiting on others to come in, I want you to know that hey, Sonia Tolliver. Sonia, did you see your photos from Ghana? I have an amazing, incredible, super colossal guest tonight. I'm excited. I'm excited that he's even in this space. But I'm waiting on a few more people to come in so that we can introduce him. I want you to know, for those who are kind enough to donate to Ghana, is $ Hope Haven 1. We appreciate your generosity and how you help us to feed and educate children. We appreciate it. Some people give as small as $15, but guess what? Over there, that is a whole lot. So you might say, well, Dr. Pointer McCreary, I don't have a lot to give. But how many of you know that little becomes much when you place it in the Master's hand? So again, while we're waiting on people to come, I just want to throw that out there. If someone asks you to pray for them and ask God to tell you, why does he hate them so much? What would you say? Now, I know what Christians everywhere are going to say, well, God is love and he doesn't hate you. But I'm talking about people who are going back to back to back experiences And we just want to make sure we're mindful. We're mindful of people and they're going through. Amen. So, Dr. Yvonne Pointer McCreary, I love you. I want you to know that we are live in the Hope Haven. May not be here the whole hour tonight, but hey, Betty Jones, how are you feeling? I want you to do me a favor and tag somebody right away. Go ahead. I'm going to wait on you. Hi, Terry Bell. I'll tag one person in particular, which you all do. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we'll get to it. But in the meantime, look who's here. Hey.
Hey there.
Can y'all believe it? How are you?
Cold.
I know you're cold.
Cold.
I know you're
Got
cold.
this nice warm sweater on, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
But before we get to who you are now, this is big for you to be here. Thank you for
Oh,
coming.
no, thank you. It's an honor.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Kim St. John, y'all not going to believe this. We always I want to introduce my guests, but I like to go back to the little boy. Before there was a doctor, before there was any of that. Were you born in Cleveland?
Oh, no, I grew up in a little town called Newcastle, Indiana.
Oh. Is that near Pennsylvania? No.
Oh, Indiana, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a Newcastle, Delaware, Pennsylvania.
I know it's one in Pennsylvania.
Indiana, England. Yeah, so, no, 18,000 people.
So it was a small town.
Very small town.
Well, when you were a little boy, did you know you wanted to be a doctor?
So I think I actually decided probably around 8th grade that I wanted to go in medicine, but it was actually influenced more so in high school when I actually became an orderly. One of my best friend's mothers was the head nurse at the local hospital.
In a small town?
In a small town.
Okay.
And she got me a job, I think it was my senior year as a hospital orderly, and I got a lot of experience taking care of patients, working alongside the nurses, but even way before then, I was influenced in terms of wanting to take care of patients in the community. Actually, I had to make a decision between going into music or medicine, because I'm an old trumpet player. I was all-state Indiana. But one thing that really influenced me growing up is when my grandmother became infirm, and we had to move her into our home for a while. She was 85 years old.
Wow.
And then we eventually, unfortunately, we had to put her into a nursing home. But my mother would always take us, my sisters and I, literally every day, to the nursing home to see my grandmother. And it's interesting that you asked me that question. But by going to see her every day, I would get her water, I would push her in a wheelchair and help feed her and all that kind of stuff. But it's interesting that I'm here with you today. Actually, this is a sign from above.
Out of here.
She was born in February the 2nd, 1888.
Wow. But that this room has that impact on people.
What is that, 136 years old?
Wow. What was her name?
Clara Hampton. She lived to be 103, so it was Clara Archie Hampton.
Wow.
Yeah, today, that has to be it cannot be a coincidence.
Hello. So listen, so you knew then you wanted to care for people.
Well, like I said, I had to make a decision whether I wanted to pursue a career in medicine or music, and I remember my trumpet instructor, a guy named Bill Pritchett. He played for the Spinners, and but he told me, okay, well, you should go ahead and go into medicine because you can perform and play trumpet, as a hobby on the side. But once you take that, physician, surgeon career trajectory, you don't really have a lot of time to, continue to keep your skills up, your trumpet skills up.
What do you play trumpet now?
So I do very rarely, and see, I don't, I'm telling on myself, I don't practice because I'm actually in the Shaker Community Band.
Okay.
We play 2 concerts every summer. We start practicing, I think it's like in May or June, once a week. And then we play a concert in July, and then we play another concert in August. But yeah, I need to, actually I put down on my phone, on my calendar, every Monday I put practice trumpet. And I haven't practiced once since last August when we did.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So what was like for the little boy in the small town? It was, I'm sure it was a different day, different time.
So I grew up in the 60s and 70s, graduated high school 79, so just to date myself. It was, when I think back to the 70s, a lot of times when we think back to our younger days, we always talk about the good old days. I mean,
yeah.
I think most people do talk about the good old days. You're with your parents and, your family, and you have a lot of nice lived experience. But I mean, it was tough in many ways. Central Indiana, I don't know how many people know about Central Indiana.
Tell us.
It can be a very racist place.
Okay.
And I think even now, I have one sister still lives there. But there were two main areas in the town, the East End and the West End, where black people pretty much, the United Methodist Church, there was another black church, there were a couple of other black churches. Bethel AME was the other main church. That's where my grandmother went. So we were raised in the church, but yeah, there were racist times. Both my parents grew up in 1924, so they lived through the Great Depression, Jim Crow, and I could see a lot of the struggles they went through, being black in America. There's some racist accounts. But anyway, I remember as growing up, my father, and I didn't understand this at the time, my father always told me nobody cares about black men.
Oh.
And when you're a young child, you don't really understand. But then as you grow and have certain lived experiences, you know exactly, what they're referring to. My father actually never had a chance to graduate from high school. He had to actually leave in 11th grade to enlist in the United States Navy, their service country. His father raised him, by himself predominantly, and his aunts. And so he was always self-conscious that he never really, was able to get his high school education. After he finished, he was in the Navy for 7 years, came back and worked in the foundries, actually had several jobs. He would hold like 2 or 3 jobs at a time. My mother, so my father, his name was Charles Maudlin Sr. I'm Charles Jr.
Okay.
And my son's Charles the III. We call him Trey. I did not name him after me. I named him after my father.
Oh, okay.
In honor of my father.
This is good, y'all. Share.
Yeah, but so my mother got a college scholarship to go to Butler University. She always wanted to be a school teacher. The family could only, that's in Indianapolis, the family could only afford to send her there for 1 year. Then she had to drop out, go to work. But she always still had that dream inside to become an elementary school teacher. And so at the age of 40, with 4 small kids at home, she made the decision to go to night school. It was called Ball State Teachers College. It's called Ball State University now, Muncie, Indiana. And she became a teacher, and then a couple years later, she got her master's degree. And I point that out. She was the first black school teacher in the history of Henry County, Indiana.
Wow.
The entire, Indiana, I think, became a state, I think, in 1816 or something thereabouts. And all that entire history of Henry County, which is 2 counties over from Indiana. And again, you could imagine some of the challenges that she faced. I mean, there were parents who did not want their kids in a black school teacher's classroom, and
wow.
So she got it from both sides, some of the principals. But then she actually had, some supporters. I still remember some of these individuals, who supported her, being a school teacher, and helped mentor her. And I remember when I was 6 years old, she took me to her night school class. Back then... 6,
you remember that?
I was 6 years old, and I was in the auditorium running up and down the auditorium. It was like a sloped, auditorium. I remember I was running, the professor walked in, and my mother grabbed me, by the arm, and, said, settle down, So the teacher said, Mrs. Maudlin, we see you have we have a visitor, you have a guest. Can you introduce him? So she introduced me. She goes, this is my son, and one day... I still remember it. And one day he's going to be going to college also.
Oh, wow.
And the reason I tell this story is because that is the first time, and this has been ingrained within my very fabric, that was the first time that I realized that that my parents actually had expectations of me.
Wow.
to achieve, to the best of my ability, my education.
Well,
Yeah.
but your father never went to school, only for the 11th. Did he live to see you get that education?
Oh, yeah. So, and the thing is, my father would always read the encyclopedias, the dictionary. He was very well read. He was one of the most highly educated people, that I knew, even though he didn't have his degree. But see, I point out all this story in the background because my father said nobody cares about black men. And then, so when I graduated high school, he was very proud of me. He goes, well, he was always pushing me, what are you going to do next?
Wow.
So then I got into medical school. So I went to Northwestern University. I got into medical school with Northwestern University Med School. And I graduated. He goes, well, what are you going to do next?
Even after that?
Yeah, so he was always, and I was thinking to myself, I'm laughing. I was thinking to myself, is anything, can I, is this guy going to just keep on pushing me? Well, what more can I do to, satisfy this guy, But he was always, he was the deacon of the church, lately, the church, the Lord. And so, he's the main reason, my mother also, that I've really dedicated much of my career to serving the community. But yeah, real quick story. So a week before I graduated from medical school, the dean of students came into the medical school class, and this is the medical school class of 87, and said, listen, for the first time, we're going to allow one of the parents to participate in the graduation ceremony commencement address, or the commencement. And so this is before the internet, before cell phones, no texting, nothing like that. So I volunteered my dad after, to participate, and he got to give the invocation benediction, march in a cap and gown.
Oh, that was important for him.
It was important for him, but the reason I did it is because, like I said, he was always self-conscious that he didn't have his education. I did it for him to prove to him, to show to him how proud I was of him. And
hey, Deontay.
Yeah, the reason I say that he always pushed me is nobody cares about black men. He always says, it's your responsibility to use your education that you've been privileged to receive to give back to the community. So I remember, so fast forward, in 2003, my family and we went on spring break down to Cincinnati. We visited the National Underground Freedom Railroad Center.
Yeah.
And that really made me angry, seeing the exhibits of the lynchings and the shackles and how they treated the slaves. And I remember driving back to Cleveland Clinic. I was kidney transplant surgeon there, and I was sitting in the organ preservation lab, and I'm not exaggerating this. I had an epiphany.
Mm-hmm. Nobody cares about black men. It's your responsibility to give back to the community. Seeing how our ancestors were treated, it came to me in an epiphany what I could do to give back to the community. And being a urologist, being a black man, educating myself and becoming aware of the healthcare disparity crisis, especially the fact that black men have the lowest life expectancy out of any group. That's when I then and there, it came to I had this vision to create the Cleveland Clinic Minority Men's Health Fair. Just like that.
Just like that. But again, it was all these lived experience. I know that's a long, drawn-out answer to your question in terms of what life was like, growing up. But I had to, kind of relate that because it kind of...
Hope Haven, do me a favor. I need you to share this on your page to everyone, because it's an honor to have Dr. Marlin here. Dr. Marlin just got off the freeway. We won't even get into that. And he could have said, I'm not coming to your Hope Haven. But he is I think, a modern day hero, because when we think about black men today, you don't think about, they say Marlin is my guy. You don't think about the fact that here's a doctor. And not only is he a doctor, he's a touchable and approachable doctor. I will never forget, Denise, when my brother Raymond was in the hospital dying, they didn't know what to do. But, it was really bad. I called Dr. Marlin, and he was not my brother's physician, but he went to his bedside. And I'll never forget that, because how many people would do something like that? So I want you to share this broadcast. Let people know that Dr. Marlon is live in the Hope Haven. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you grew up in a small town. You were orderly, and that provoked you to want to become a doctor. But what was medical school like for a young black man from a small town back then?
So,
was it receiving, welcoming, warm?
So, it's interesting. So, I got into Indiana University. I got into Howard University, maybe a couple other universities, but I had already, graduated from Northwestern in Chicago, and I wanted to stay in Chicago. And so I decided to go ahead and stay in Chicago. I went to Northwestern Medical School. There were 170 students in the class. Guess how, out of 170 students, guess how many students were African American black?
Out of 170?
Right.
5.
Actually, there were 5.
Get out!
Yeah. And guess how many black males there were?
1.
1, right? You must have heard me. Okay.
No, I didn't. I'm just making this up.
Okay, I was the only one, yeah.
The only one out of 170.
But see, we've seen progress. There's a girl from Shaker. She was a friend of my daughter Hannah. They graduated, was it 2016 from Shaker? She actually is in medical school there now. And she's probably a junior. And I went there. I've been very involved with the Alumni Association at Northwestern. And I went there, I don't know, maybe 2-3 years ago. They had a breakfast for all the incoming students of color, African American students.
Wow.
In their freshman class, and we had 5. So I mean that's progress.
Well, it's a slow progress, but it's progress.
Yeah, So I mean it's needed because again, we know that diversification in the healthcare workforce improves health outcomes in people of color. I mean, of course, we're there to serve everybody, regardless of their race, ethnicity, gender, etc. But again, I mean, we've seen it firsthand. There's literature, research. It helps build trusting relationships when you can see a physician, doctor,
that looks like you.
That looks like you.
Yeah. Well, Abria, thank you. Abria said, "Wow." Now, so was medical school difficult? I mean, when I say difficult, I mean, do you have to be a certain kind of person to even go to medical school?
Well, I would say if I can get in, anybody, can get in. So no, actually, you know what? Medical school was less difficult than undergraduate, school. I graduated a degree in chemistry, but I wasn't really interested in becoming a chemist. But medical school was more interesting to me because that's more closely aligned in terms of what I wanted to do. I enjoyed studying the anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, that kind of thing. See, back then, the first 2 years it was classroom work, and then you went into the clinicals. So now a lot of schools have mixed it up where you actually get clinical experience, even in your first year. But yeah, I mean, it was a challenge, of course. Don't get me wrong. I remember as an undergrad, I had food insecurity. I mean, back then at Northwestern, they didn't serve. They stopped serving food after lunch, like 1 o'clock on Saturdays. And there were a lot of times I didn't eat until Monday morning because they didn't have enough money to buy food. And see, back then, I mean, the dining halls were closed, the school dining halls. And back then, they didn't have a lot of restaurants. I didn't have a lot of money. And I didn't want to bother my parents and even let them know and ask them for money and stuff because they had already sacrificed enough, So
did you have to pay your own way?
I had some scholarships. There was one called the Oberdorfer scholarship that I received that from. It was from a family that originated from Newcastle, Indiana. Then I received, loans and things of that nature. Then I remember for medical school, I received something called the National Medical Fellowship scholarship. I think I received 2 of those. And it was interesting, fast forward some 30 years later, I was actually one of their national honorees at their gala in New York City. I'll send you that video. Yeah.
Oh, I would like to see that.
Yeah, it was based on their recognizing the work that I had done to serve the community and Yes.
Stephanie Morrison and said,
Oh.
hey there.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they're talking to you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, Hope Haven, this is the Dr. Marlin. I'm telling you, please share. You might have a question. He's not here in the capacity to diagnose, but, when we got him here, we might as well ask. We're talking about him growing up in a small town, wanting to become a doctor. So let's fast forward. You had an epiphany. You saw what was happening back in slavery. And if you ever been to that museum in Cincinnati, I would suggest everyone go. But that made you think somebody got to do something, and why that somebody might be me.
I mean, it really made me. I can't even. I'm not exaggerating. It made me very angry to know. I mean, of course, you read in your history books, and we as African Americans, we know what Dr. King did for all of us, but actually to see the shackles that they put around their hands, their wrists, their legs, the collars,
Wait, Stephanie said tell you she completed your curriculum vitae.
Oh yes, okay, yes, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
Stephanie. Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so you were angry.
I was very angry, but I knew that there was something that I had to do. My mother had actually just passed, earlier that year. She suffered from severe diabetes. She had lower extremity amputations, and actually, so that. You mind if I'll take 1 minute and tell you?
Listen, we got a whole hour. Tell it.
So, for one thing, we weren't able to have the show last week.
Right.
And
on your grandma's birthday.
Yeah. But so my mother's passing had something to do also with why I do what I do. So my mother was 78 when she passed away. She suffered severe diabetes. So I was actually operating at Cleveland Clinic, so I'm my main subspecialty is kidney transplantation, but I'm a board certified urologist, so I would treat and diagnose and treat prostate cancer, kidney cancer, things of that nature. So I was at Cleveland Clinic. It was a Wednesday. Well, no, actually, so step back 1 second. So my mother was in a hospital in Muncie, Indiana. It's about 5 hours away, something like that, 4.5, 5 hours away. And I went down to be at her bedside. She had a amputation because she, had peripheral vascular disease from the diabetes, so they had to amputate. She had gangrene, and so I was at her bedside and speaking to the doctors with her in recovery in her bedside. And that was a Saturday, after the surgery. And I told her, okay, I have to go back to Cleveland to operate to take care of I had 4 small kids at the time. And I said I'll be back because she was going to get the next leg amputated the following Friday, I think it was. And so I'd give her a hug, but I would always pat her on the head, And
listen to this.
Yeah, and so she goes, "Don't worry, go take care of your patients and your kids." She goes, "I'll be okay." So 5 days later, I'm operating at Cleveland Clinic. It's about 10:30 in the morning. I get a phone call from my office. It was the doctor from Muncie, Indiana, calling my office. They transferred the call to me in the operating room. And I went to the phone, and they go, "Well, Dr. Modlin, your mother just had a cardiac arrest." And I said, I was asking questions. I said, "Well, I have one more surgery to do." I said, "I can cancel that and drive down, be at her bedside." And they said, "No, we revived her. She's okay. She's stable." So I started doing the second case, and I get another call, probably around 3:20, something like that. And they say, "Well, we're sorry to tell you she had another cardiac arrest and she passed away." And I'm basically blaming myself. I should have canceled that case, and I could have rescheduled the case, several days later or whatever. And I'm blaming myself for not being there. On the EKG, alerted the doctors and nurses, or helped her in some way to where she would not have had that cardiac arrest or passed away. And so I was walking through the hospital crying, people stopping me, what's wrong, this, that, and the other. I was lying in my bed. I was going to drive down to make her funeral arrangements and stuff the next day on Thursday. I was lying in bed and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I heard a ticking sound, a chiming of a clock. I had a clock on the wall that I had bought from my sister from Indiana. It was about 8 feet high on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
It's the kind where you have to wind up
Yeah.
with 2 keys.
Yeah.
The keys were in a different room on a high shelf.
Mm-hmm.
The kids were like 3 feet tall. They couldn't have got it. That clock actually had not worked for probably about a year or so.
Wow.
And I heard this thing chime, and I looked over at the bedside electric clock, and it said 3:06. And I was thinking to myself, well, why is that clock ticking? Nobody wound it. Hadn't been working. So I go down the stairs the next morning, and I look over. The hands were still were frozen at 3:06, but the clock with the pendulum was still ticking.
Wow.
The reason I tell that story is that was my mother's spirit going through that clock, letting me know that she was okay. She told me she was going to be okay. And see, I was blaming myself. She was telling me that
She was comforting you.
She was comforting me, telling me that I did the right thing, staying and taking care of those patients and my kids. Yeah.
I listen. Yeah. I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that. I believe that. Uh-huh. So they say your mom was telling you as well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. This room, I got to tell you, it has that effect on people.
Oh, yeah.
So people come in here and they really, somebody was here the other day and he said he thought about somebody he hadn't thought about in 50 years. So I think that it was good that your mom found a way to send you that comfort.
So I'll tell you what, it's interesting. My best friend I met him 5th grade. His birthday is December the 10th, 1960. And it's interesting. I like to watch old westerns, Gunsmoke, things like that, because my dad always did. So I DVR them, record them. Every once in a while, I'll sit back on a Saturday, whatever, and watch an old episode. And it's interesting. And for some reason, I don't normally do this. There's a button you can click on your remote, and you can see what the original air date of the show was. And it was my friend's birthday, 12/10/1960, his exact birthday. But the reason that's significant to me is because about a week before and she treated me so well and had so much confidence in my abilities that, of course my parents, my family, but she was a major reason, and my friend Jeff, as to why, I knew I had it within me to become a physician, to pursue, my dream. But again, why would I randomly just look and see when the original air date for that episode was, and
well,
that was another sign. Yeah,
you make me think about President Obama.
Okay, yeah.
His concern for his mother is kind of what pushed him to do what he did for medicine. So Hope Haven. Thank you, Kim. I do have some. We're here with Dr. Motlin. And he's not just a doctor, like I'm Dr. Pointer. I am an honorary doctor. He is a real doctor. I tell people honorary doctors are real doctors, but he's a for real doctor. Dr. Motlin, you are a doctor with passion. And that probably costs, though, doesn't it? Because I used to go to VA hospital and just sit with people that had no visitors. And I would always ask, is it anyone here that nobody comes to see? But you know what? When they started dying, that bothered me. And I stopped because I was getting so attached. So how do you deal with, you seeing these black men, you care about them, you want them to take care of themselves, but it's got to weigh on you when what you're seeing, the disparity in the health care for black men.
But I'll tell you what, and I take care of women also,
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
But there's like so many different subspecialties of urology. Like I said, my major subspecialty, kidney transplantation. But urologists take care of predominantly men, prostate cancer, reproductive, things of that nature. But there are certain situations that women have. They can have kidney cancer, bladder cancer, so I see, female patients also. But, going back to your question, like I said, when I was an orderly, see that actually, I think, and I was thinking about that earlier today, I think every medical student should be required to spend time working on the nursing alongside the nurses, the nursing service, to see what the nurses go through on a daily basis, because they're the first line of care, like when patients are admitted to the hospital. And I say that because orderly, and see, most people have never heard of orderlies now because they don't exist.
Yeah.
But we gave bed baths, all kind of things. We would transport patients. We would feed them, dress them. We did the four-corner hospital beds. I don't know how I couldn't do that now, but no, it was quite an experience. But a number of the patients were women, some men, but mostly women from my church.
Wow.
And so I saw them, many of them, had passed away. Some had cancer and other serious conditions. But that provided me additional, empathy that I developed, by seeing those people that I knew, growing up in the church, listening to them sing in the choir and that nature.
Well, I like that word, empathy, because that's different from sympathy.
Right.
Now, they're asking you questions. Like Stephanie said, does lower back pain have something to do with kidneys? And then Tanya said, I would like to send a message about her niece with kidney failure. So do you see patients? How do people get in touch with you? Or what happens with that?
So kidney failure, back pain can be a cause of or a symptom of kidney failure. It could be a sign. Maybe you have an obstruction. We call it CVA tenderness, costovertebral angle tenderness. So if you tap on somebody's back and they kind of jump, that may signify an inflamed kidney, an obstructed kidney. The best way to diagnose kidney failure is with a blood test.
Okay.
One of the best ways to screen for kidney failure or kidney disease, I should even say, blood test, but also a urine test to check to see if there's any blood or protein in the urine. So that could be an early sign. You could have a kidney stone.
Hey, Tammy.
Blood in the urine, and so.
But are you still seeing patients, or?
No, I still see patients. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was at Cleveland Clinic probably 1 month shy of 28 years, and I was recruited by the former CEO, Dr. Boutros, and actually Reverend Dr. Otis Moss facilitated that recruitment because Dr. Boutros allowed me to dedicate treating the community, addressing these healthcare disparities, and again, that was my passion. So the Metro Health doesn't. I've been there almost 5 years now. It'll be September. Metro Health doesn't have a kidney transplant program, but I still see patients who have kidney disease who may qualify to receive a kidney transplant, but they may not know it. So I facilitate them getting either on the kidney transplant waiting list at Cleveland Clinic or University Hospital. A lot of individuals don't know that they can refer themselves. A lot of them think that they have to wait for their primary care nephrologist to refer them. So there are a number of disparities in terms of getting referred for a transplant, getting on the transplant waiting list, undergoing the evaluation, moving up on the list, receiving a kidney. So I help facilitate patients' knowledge and awareness and access to kidney transplantation still.
I'm getting so many questions. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit then about donating organs. How important is that? Because most, especially African Americans, we don't even talk about dying, so let alone donating organs.
Well, see, here's the thing. We talk about disparities. African Americans, males and females, we develop kidney disease 4 to 6 times more likely than white individuals. 4 to 6 times more likely are we to develop kidney failure or kidney disease and kidney failure.
Why is that?
Well, higher incidence of diabetes and hypertension.
Okay.
Some of that can be hereditary, not necessarily, but again, it just underscores the importance of undergoing routine preventative health screenings. Checking, maintaining your blood pressure. It's very important that we as Black people step up to become organ donors. Following our death, you can sign up to be on that organ donor registry. A lot of us are afraid to do so. There's probably every week I hear that people are afraid. Well, if you sign up on that donor list,
they're gonna take your organs.
They'll let you die to take your organs. Well, see that doesn't happen. I'll say that doesn't happen now. I've never seen that happen. I can't say has anything ever happened in the past. I'm not really sure, but because there's a separate team that actually evaluates whether or not somebody is a candidate, when they're in the ICU and, going to expire versus the transplanting team. But it's very important that we understand these organs. We can do just as well receiving a kidney from somebody from a white individual or different, race or ethnicity. But we actually do better if we receive a kidney from an African American because it's more genetically closely matched. So very important. And then also one thing, the best way to receive a kidney transplant is from a living donor, either living related or
So
living.
you can live with one kidney?
You live with one kidney. I mean,
Wow.
you could be a spouse, a parent, a sister, that kind of thing, a sibling. So yeah, and a lot of people don't know that you get the best outcomes if you receive a kidney from either living related or living non-related. And people, and it's about health literacy. I mean, I spend a lot of time in the community still, informing the community about the importance of preventative health screening, some of the signs and symptoms to be aware. See, I get this all the time, talking about screening for prostate cancer or whatever it is. A lot of patients will push back, well, I don't have any signs, I don't have any symptoms, I don't have any pain. You don't have to have any pain to have prostate cancer. You don't have to have any pain or symptoms or signs.
So how do you know you have it?
So like colorectal cancer, heart disease, all these things, you don't have to have any signs or symptoms.
Wow.
So,
listen, Hope Haven.
Yeah, well, routine preventative health screenings.
Well,
yeah.
speaking of that, somebody says, does metformin damage your kidneys?
No, metformin actually, I mean, it's a older generation medication to treat diabetes.
Okay.
It can have some GI side effects. I mean, if you have severe GI side effects and get dehydrated, that can damage your kidneys. But by controlling your diabetes, it can actually help protect your kidneys.
Okay.
That's glucophage. That's a different name for it. Metformin. There are different medications, more effective medications to treat diabetes, but that's a lot of people are still on that. So,
well, before we get into that, Hope Haven, I know y'all got a lot of questions. For years, when you hear about the African American health clinics, right, in the community, you started those.
Well, the Cleveland Clinic Minority Men's Health Fair, we've, over like 20 some years, we've screened probably 25,000 to 30,000 men. And, women, is minority for a reason. But everybody was welcome regardless of race or ethnicity. I conducted that health fair at Metro for 3 years. The reason it was strategically put in there, the word minority, is to alert the minority community that you too are welcome. A lot of times, if the community understands that this program is for you, then they're more likely to respond. So yeah, that's why I strategically put that word minority in there. I know there's some issues now, Well, it was a season that it worked, and I think you should be proud, very, very proud, that you followed your spirit and started that, because only God knows how many people are alive today because of your endeavors, and we need to give you an applause for that. What is the problem with black men and doctors? Well, here's the thing. The fact that I'm going to send you a link to this Minority Men's Health Fair video, 6-minute video. In the video, you literally see thousands of men lining up to come in for that health fair, the Cleveland Clinic Health Fair. That was our 10th annual event when we did that video. And I'm proud to say that more and more men are understanding the importance of preventative health screenings. A lot of them are afraid because of fear of being disrespected, so historically, in order to screen for prostate cancer, we had to do what was called a digital rectal examination.
Ouch!
That finger test. And a lot of men were afraid of that, white men, black men. But see, now it's primarily done with a blood test, a simple blood test. It's called a PSA, prostate-specific antigen blood test. But also it goes back to distrust of the healthcare system, Tuskegee syphilis experiment.
Right.
Where I think there were either 600 or 800 black men from Tuskegee,
They were
Alabama.
given syphilis.
Well, no, they weren't given syphilis. They actually had been diagnosed with syphilis.
Oh.
And there was a treatment, penicillin, at the time, but they were denied treatment because it was from the U.S. Department of Public Health. They specifically did not give them penicillin because they wanted to see what would be the natural consequences of untreated syphilis. They knew they had syphilis.
See,
but they
I always thought they gave it to them.
No, they didn't give it to them. But they didn't treat them. They knew they had it. They didn't treat them. And so, of course, they passed it on to their partners. You know, there's different levels of syphilis. I mean, you can get tertiary syphilis that impacts, your brain. Can get into your heart and cause cardiomyopathy, heart failure, And it wasn't until, I think that study actually didn't end until like 1972, during my lifetime. So a lot of men, even though a lot of men maybe were not alive during that time frame, we still we have that memory. We call it intergenerational memory.
So you don't trust them.
A lot of them don't trust. See, that's why a lot of black people of color don't participate in clinical research trials. And again, I've published on this. I give a lot of talks about why we need to participate in clinical trials so that new therapies, treatments that will preferentially benefit us can be developed. I mean, there are some medications to treat high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, that we respond, different classifications of high blood pressure, we respond better than whites and vice versa. Like when we transplant an organ, whether it's a liver or kidney, heart, oftentimes for African Americans we have to give higher dosages of that anti-rejection, immunosuppressant medication to prevent rejection.
Wow.
And again, it's because there's different levels of enzymes that metabolize certain medications in our liver. Even though we're more closely, genetically similar, those small differences can actually lead to differential outcomes.
But a lot of times people are afraid of the side effects as well, because when you listen to these commercials, it's like you go in with one thing and you got 15 different side effects. It's worse than what you went in for.
So I always wonder how many people actually, it's important to educate the community about the fact that there are medications available to treat certain conditions, and it's very important because in many situations this should not be the case. Your physician may not offer you a particular treatment, and so you need to know about it and proactively ask, okay, I saw information about such and such medication. Do I qualify? Do I meet the criteria to receive this medication? That may be more effective than maybe some of the medications that you may be treated. So see, that's why they have those commercials on there. Before I was thinking, well, why? People have seen these commercials, they're not prescribing the medication themselves. But see, again, it's just a way to educate the community to ask.
Yeah.
And then go, write down a list of questions, go in there. Sometimes it's important to maybe take somebody, a family member, a friend with you.
Listen, Hope Haven.
That encounter. There was a study by Pfizer Pharmaceuticals several years ago. It was called Ask Me 3.
Ask Me 3.
And they're trying to educate the community that if you ask 3 questions during your physician or nurse encounter, your outcomes and understanding are going to be better. So the first question is, doctor, what is my problem? And the second question is, what do I need to do about it? And then why? What's my problem? What do I need to do about it? And why? If you ask those questions, that's going to lead to a more thorough conversation with your healthcare provider and a better understanding, and it ultimately results in improved compliance and improved outcomes. Ask Me 3.
I'm taking notes.
Okay.
Are you taking notes, Hope Haven? Are you sharing? We're here with Dr. Marlin. You have a book out.
Oh yeah, actually I brought it. I think I brought it.
Yeah, we talked about this some years ago.
Oh yeah. And actually, you reminded me. Did I bring it? Yeah, I'm giving a book talk February the 12th. That's next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
It's the Cuyahoga County Library on Shaker Boulevard and Richmond Road, right at that intersection.
Shaker and Richmond.
It's in Beechwood, Ohio.
Okay.
So there's right where it's a westbound Shaker.
Okay.
And where it meets Richmond Road.
Okay.
Yeah. 7 p.m.
Oh.
7 p.m. You can register online. It's free. You don't have to register. You can just show up from 7 to 8 p.m.
Okay, yeah. What's my problem? What can I do about it, and why?
And why? So this is I've flagged and made a lot of so it's I should have brought a clean version.
Okay.
I need to bring you a clean version.
It's going to be backwards, but this
Yeah.
so it says yes, you can succeed. It isn't difficult to do it if you know how to do it.
And there's a story behind that.
Wow. So how can they get this book? Look at this, y'all.
Oh yeah.
Look at this.
So it's interesting. I was preparing to do an interview. Remember Sharon Reed, the reporter?
Yeah.
So she was on the TV station in Atlanta, Black News, or I'm blanking out, several years ago. I forget the name of the actor, Black News Network, I believe it was called. And so she wanted to do an interview. And so in preparation, I wrote this book, cover to cover, 400 pages. And I'd actually never read the book cover to cover, even though I read it. I wrote it because it took me 4 years to write this. So I sat down and I wanted to flag important things that I wanted to bring out. And the whole thing is like flag. There's so much information. So the subtitle is the step-by-step definitive how-to roadmap to achieve your success goals. And I always tell everybody, had I known the contents in this book when I was going through my journey to become a physician and surgeon, my journey would have been much more simple than what it had been. And so, yes, you can succeed. It isn't the title, it isn't difficult to do it if you know how to do it. That sounds kind of nonsensical. It sounds kind of like a Dr. Seuss thing. The reason that's part of the title of this book, my daughter Hannah, she actually about a year and a half ago graduated from Cleveland State Chemical Engineering, and now she's in the Master's Biomedical Engineering program. It's a 2-year program.
Good Lord.
So when she was 3.5 years old, we had a nanny, and Hannah was playing a very fast-paced video game, and the nanny, Mrs. Carolyn Jackson, she goes, "Hannah, that looks very difficult to do. Is it difficult to do it?" And Hannah, she kept on playing, didn't turn around. She goes, "It isn't difficult to do it if you know how to do it."
Oh.
And what that means is if you're a young person, old person, no matter what age, if there's something that you want to achieve in life, if you have certain aspirations, if you seek a coach, a mentor, my father always said the best teacher is at the foot of an old person.
The best teacher is at the foot of an old person.
And I'm an old person now, but no, if it isn't difficult to do it if you know how to do it. If you're willing to learn from the successes of others, from the failures of others, from your successes, from your failures, if you seek a mentor, somebody who's already in a position that you wish to achieve, a physician, nurse, whatever it is, teacher, your success journey will be a little bit less difficult.
But you have to be willing to listen and be teachable.
You have to be willing to listen, be teachable. And so there are so many lessons in here. One thing is you have to believe in yourself. But, we hear all the time, you can be anything you want to be. That is only halfway true. But you just pointed out, I mean, I could say I want to be a professional NBA player. I mean, I'm not, but I just use that as a, extreme example. But you have to put the work in. Michael Jordan put the work in. Kobe,
LeBron James, they put the work in.
They put the work in. You have to be willing to put the work in. But you have to believe in yourself. But you also, and there's true accounts, everything in this book is true. You have to also understand that there are going to be certain people you're going to encounter who are going to intentionally attempt to divert you from your journey.
Listen.
Yeah. I mean, it's very important.
That's their assignment, to prevent you from completing your assignment.
Oh, yeah, exactly. They may not realize that there's assignment, but see, a lot of it's jealousy, envy. I never heard of this terminology until I came to Cleveland, haters.
Yeah.
There's a whole chapter 6 in here about haters.
They exist.
They exist. I mean, they exist. I mean, we don't have to dwell on them, but we need to develop strategies and be able to identify individuals when at all possible.
Well, especially if you're reaching, it's like that crab barrel mentality. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to go up, you got people trying to pull you down.
Right. And that's how medical school is. And so medical school, they just teach you the basics of, you know, the science of medicine. The toughest part is actually internship and residency. I did a six-year internship and residency at NYU, New York University in Manhattan. Then after that, I did 3 years of fellowship at kidney transplantation at Cleveland Clinic. I did 17 years after high school.
Wow.
But yeah, it's, you know, back then. So now they have what they call residency work hour restrictions. So residents nowadays, by law, cannot work more than 80 hours a week. We used to do about
80 hours a week.
Yeah, we used to do about 140. I used to go in on Mondays sometimes and not leave until Friday. So I tell some of these residents now, they don't believe me. You know, they think I'm just making it up. But no, there are so many.
But you said you're going to be Thursday, February 12th at Shaker Heights Library.
Oh no, it's the Cuyahoga County Library.
Cuyahoga County Library.
It's in Beechwood at the corner of Richmond Road and Shaker Boulevard westbound. Yeah.
So anybody can come?
Oh, anybody can come.
What time is it?
7 p.m. You can actually go on that Cuyahoga County Library website, and you can pre-register, but you don't have to do that. You can just show up. I mean, it's free. There's no charge.
How can people get your book then?
So it's on Amazon. You can go to Amazon. It's on Barnes and Nobles online. I don't have it with me, but I wrote a workbook. And students will read the book, and then there's a journal that actually they can work along with the different chapters.
Now, is this book for somebody who wants to be a doctor, or is it?
Well, it's for whatever you aspire to be: doctor, nurse, lawyer,
just a citizen,
carpenter, plumber, whatever you want to be, teacher, whatever you aspire to do. I mean, so no, it's not specifically just for people that want to go into healthcare. Yeah.
Wow. Yes, you can succeed. Well, I was telling somebody today, success is when preparation meets opportunities.
Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So.
But you have to create those opportunities, and you, again, and it's difficult a lot of times because they can slip away. You have to, in order to get from point A to point B, the easiest way is to go in a straight line, right? A lot of times, if we want to accomplish something, we can't just go from A to B. Sometimes we have to go above, around, through, under. Sometimes we have to take a step back to take 3 steps forward.
But I think the whole thing is you got to just keep moving.
You got to keep, my dad always said, keep moving.
Keep moving.
Keep moving. You got to keep moving.
Because when I talked to my friend today, and she said, would you pray and ask God, why does he hate me so? Well, what you're saying is, I'm not going to move anymore. But then that's the assignment of the hater. To get you to think that God hates you so you won't move. And if you stop moving, what happens?
You actually have a lot of self-doubt, and then you
stagnant. You're done.
Right, you're done. Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
You're done. Yeah. I knew someone that stopped moving.
Yeah.
So even if it's not a straight path, even if you have to zigzag, at least you're moving, right?
And again, you know, there's you learn from your failures also. The one thing, I stressed this in the book, there's, I forget, like 20 some chapters. You know, a lot of times when we're kids, we're young people, we're taught to focus on improving our weaknesses. You know, that's very important. But I stress in the book, we also need to remember what strengths we've had to help get us to where we are in life, and, you know, and continue to try to improve upon those success traits that we have also in the skill sets.
You know, I have what I call a gratitude rock. I don't know if you ever.
I've seen, when my kids were younger, I had a lot of these rocks and little pebbles that had say, you know, believe and true, you know, love.
And so some days when I'm feeling yucky, I just go back to what I knew. Walk around with my gratitude rock in my hand. Yeah. So Cynthia, I love you. I want you all to see, you know, we thought we weren't going to be an hour, but it's almost an hour. Okay. Jeff Brown, I love you. I want you all to share. Dr. Modlin, you know, we just have a few minutes, but I want you to, what message is it that you want to give to us about taking care of ourselves and our health and, you know, not just black people, not just men, not just women, but period. Because I got to be honest with you, I'm not a water drinker. They always say, Yvonne, drink some water. And I realized that when I go to the doctor, they ask me, how much water are you drinking? So what can we do to help ourselves?
I think our bodies are roughly 70% water, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So water is the liquid of life. It's very, very important. I mean, there are certain things that we need to do to, maintain our health, improve our health. But we need to be willing to educate ourselves, to read. I mean, there's so much information out there now that was never really accessible. The sad thing is, during the course of my career, I've encountered a number of individuals, and I just mentioned a lot of black men. They feel, and they'll tell me directly, well, nobody cares whether I'm alive or dead, so why should I go get a health screen or?
That sounds like your dad.
Well, no. Well, he at one point in his life he was really, down on himself, but he knew that God cared about him. And God, like I said, he was very active in the church, and he sang in the male chorus, etc. But people do care, and then the thing is, look around. I mean, whether you have children or there are people who care about you, so you matter. I mean, that's a strong message. That was the theme of our health fair, many years. You matter. That was actually before Black Lives Matter. You matter. So, but just educate yourself about the important preventative health screenings that you need to know, and that there are various health screenings that are recommended at certain time points in your life. Black men should start screening for prostate cancer at age 40. White men don't have to start until age 55 unless they have a strong family history. Colorectal cancer the best test for colorectal cancer screening is a colonoscopy. There's Cologuard, other testing, but the best test is a colonoscopy. If you have a family history of colon cancer, you need to start. 5-degree relative was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. So, I mean, if you had a relative diagnosed with colon cancer at age 45, you need to start at age 40. That runs in my family. I've had 3 colonoscopies already. They're simple, they're painless.
It says drinking that stuff.
Oh, it's no big deal whatsoever. No big deal whatsoever.
If it's difficult, that's your book.
And see, the thing is, I'll tell the story real quick, and the reason I tell it is because he's public on this, and he tells everybody, so I'm not divulging any confidential patient information. We all know Kevin Conwell.
Yeah.
And I was this is years ago, I was at the MLK concert at Severance Hall, and we were talking, he would give that award. I received that award in, I think, 2007. We were talking, and he had some blood, in the GI tract. And I said, well, you need to get a colonoscopy, and he was reluctant. And I said, what, are you scared? By me saying that challenged him. He even tells me to this day, he gives talks about it. He was found to have advanced colorectal cancer into his lymph nodes, had chemotherapy, radiation surgery. He's been cancer-free probably 10 years or more. And I'm not divulging any confidential information because he publicly talks about this. So there's sometimes that we need to hear scary, messages, that fear messages. If you're out there, sometimes you have to, express to your loved one, encourage them to get screened. Sometimes have to give them a fear message. If you don't do this, this may happen. Sometimes you may have to use a child, to deliver, dad or grandpa, I need you to go get checked out. I'm worried about, So there are different ways in which we can approach people that we love and encourage them to get screened. You'll know best how to approach somebody, more so than maybe even the doctor,
Well, Hope Haven, guess what? I could just talk to him all day because there's so much that we didn't talk about. But I want you all to mark your calendars for February 12th at the Cuyahoga County Library or in Beechwood.
7 p.m. Yeah.
7 p.m.
And then that's available up online. Larchmere Bookstore also has that. Yeah, and then the bookstore, Barnes & Noble on Eaton Plaza.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dr. Motlin, thank you for coming on Facebook.
Yep, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. They can find me that way. And I have phone number 216. This is one of my cell phone numbers. I'll leave a message, text me, 312-3253. 216-312-3253.
So they said they need part 2.
Yeah, I need to get working on that.
Yeah. Lord, thank you so much, everybody. They said good to see you.
And Stephanie, thank you very much.
We love Stephanie.
I have an announcement. So Stephanie is a sister of a beautiful woman, lovely woman I've worked with at Metro. And Stephanie did actually help prepare my professional resume. And I'm not supposed to, I can't make an official announcement, but there's a, promotion that I was successfully acquired, but it won't be announced until I think July 1st, Case Western. And so, yeah.
You heard it here, or you didn't hear it here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephanie. We love her so much.
All right.
Hope Haven, this is Dr. Yvonne Pointer and Dr. Charles Mylan. We love you. Hopefully he will see you on the 12th. Just walk up to him and say, hey, I saw you in the Hope Haven.
Okay,
God bless
thanks
you.
for having
God
me.
bless
Thank you.
everybody.